Okay, chalo, I'll share the PDF. Just hold on. Okay, so students, I explained how we got this formula I is equal to E upon T. Yes or no? Okay, fine. Now, over here, see this part. T is equal to 2 pi upon omega. Now, how this part has occurred? We all know that omega is nothing but your angular velocity, right? Omega is what? 2 pi f. Yes or no? I'll write it down. Wait. Omega is 2 pi f, and instead of f, if I put 1 by t, okay, now please understand what I'm writing. Okay, instead of f, if I put 1 by t, so omega will become equal to 2 pi upon t. You can note this down as well. Okay, here the side mein likh sakte ho, omega is equal to 2 pi f, and f is nothing but 1 by t. So omega is equal to 2 by t. Now if I cross t and omega's position, I'll get this formula. Okay, that is t is equal to 2 pi upon omega. All right, fine. I hope you all understood this part. Okay, fine. And what is omega? We have one more formula for omega as well. Okay, fine. What is that one more formula? That omega is nothing but v by r. Okay, fine. Now what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to substitute all these things in this I's formula. All right. So firstly, what we'll do, the very first thing we'll do is substitute the value of omega over here as v by r. Okay. So this will become 2 pi v upon r. Okay. So it is v by r, sorry, 2 pi r by v. So sorry, the r that is in the denominator, it will go up. All right, fine. And then substitute the value of t over here. So when you all will do that, or what they have done is, see, simply what they have done over here is, see, instead of t, they have substituted 2 pi by omega first. Okay, substitute this over here. So I'll get something like this. Omega is in denominator, so it will go up e omega upon 2 pi. Yes or no? And then instead of omega, put v by r. You all can remember it like this as well. Okay, fine. So here we have reached till now I is equal to EV upon 2 pi r. Please let me know if everyone has understood this part. Okay, please let me know, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, miss.
Okay,
Yes,
there's just
ma'am.
one alternate
Yes,
method.
ma'am.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, fine. So, not sure if it is more easy. I had one alternate method. T is equal to, just a minute. Okay, students. EV upon 2 pi r. Okay. Or students, what you all can do is, instead of doing all these things, okay, instead of all these things and omega, instead of involving omega, what you all can simply do is, here we have v is equal to 2 pi by, I'll just mark it. Okay, this is just an alternative. All right, if you all want to stick to the textbook, you all can stick to the textbook, because even this part is easy, not that difficult. Also, you all already know these formulas and all. We have just written over here v is equal to 2 pi r by t. Yes or no? This v is nothing but speed of the electron, which is distance upon time. Distance is the circumference. So what we can do is, here if I keep t on one side, okay, I will have 2 pi r upon v. Yes or no? If I cross t and v's position, I will have 2 pi r upon v. And now this value I can directly put here in I is equal to E upon T, rather than getting omega and everything involved. This anyways we are writing. Yes or no? So here keep T on one side, 2 pi r upon V, substitute it over here. You all will get the same thing. Students, you all understood the alternative option, right? Instead of doing this
Yes,
part,
ma'am.
I'll just mark it at red. May see this red part. Instead of doing this red part, what you all can do is this point, the v is equal to 2 pi r by t, you all can modify and substitute it over here. Whatever you all do, you all are going to get the same this thing. Okay, you all are going to get the same answer. All right, fine. So I hope you all have noted it down. If not, then later see the recording and please note it down. If you all have understood this part, well and good. Okay, all right. Now let's move ahead. The orbital magnetic moment associated with orbital current loop is, okay, so this we are discussing about the magnetic dipole moment. Okay, the dipole magnetic moment. So why orbital magnetic moment? Because we are discussing about a orbit. So this point also, students, here in the explanation it was discussed. Yes or no? In fact, this was discussed at the beginning. I explained in the previous chapter how it is derived. Mu is equal to NIA, but mu is equal to IA. Here instead of mu, we are writing MORB. Okay, subscript ORB. All right, fine. So that is nothing but your magnetic moment I into A. Now students, over here this part is very easy. We have formula for I. Yes or no? We just derived the formula for I, and we know what is the area, because it is a circle. The area is pi r square. Okay, fine. And if I do this, the pi and r part will cancel out, and I'll be left with this formula. Okay, so my magnetic moment over here, the magnetic dipole moment is EVR by 2, or half EVR. Okay, fine. I hope this is clear. Let's move ahead. Okay, fine. All right. Now, students, here we have to involve angular momentum. Okay, fine. We are not discussing about spin angular momentum. Okay, we are discussing about, see students, the spin angular momentum is because of the spin moment of the electrons. The plus half and the minus half spin of electron will result into spin magnetic dipole moment. There is something called spin. It was written over here, see, somewhere over here, spin magnetic dipole moment. Okay, fine. So as I mentioned, right, there are two types of angular momentum. One is spin and the other is orbital angular momentum. Now your orbital angular momentum is same like your normal angular momentum, which is I into omega, but we won't be writing that exact formula, students. We will be using this Bohr's postulate. You all must have seen this somewhere in your life till now. Okay, so this Bohr's, I'll mark it. Wait, just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, student. So this Bohr's second postulate is there, no? Your angular momentum is equal to MEVR or NH by 2 pi. Okay, so this particular equation we'll be using now. Okay, in order to write the formula for angular momentum, not I omega. Okay, fine. So your students, angular momentum is written as L is equal to MEV into R, where V is the velocity of the electron, R is the radius, and what is ME? ME is nothing but the mass of an electron. That is very obvious. Okay. Now students, observe carefully what we are going to do. This magnetic dipole moment formula, we will modify it and we will substitute the formula for L into it. Okay. See, what was L? L was it is on the upward direction, so I'll write it down over here. It is MEVR. Okay, your angular momentum is MEVR. Yes or no? Now, if I keep VR on one side, okay, if I keep VR on one side, I will have L upon ME. Yes or no? Students, you all can note this down because this is our alternate method. In your textbook, they have done it little different, but it doesn't matter. You all can write any one. So in this formula, I have kept VR on one side. And if I take this ME in the downward direction, I'll have L upon ME. Now students, you all can see this magnetic dipole formula. This is nothing but EVR by 2, right? So instead of this VR, I can substitute this L by ME. Okay, fine. So what will my formula become? We'll see it. It's on the next part, but I hope you all have noted this down. Okay, fine. Because see students, in your textbook, what they have done, I'll tell you. In your textbook, what they have done for this particular equation, okay, for this particular equation, that is EVR by 2, they have done multiply divide by ME. Okay, so when you do multiply divide by ME, okay, when you do multiply divide by ME, this part is there, no students, MEVR. Instead of this part, you all can directly write L. So you will get EL upon 2ME, which is the same thing that I explained just now. So basically what I'm trying to say is you all have to find a way in order to substitute this L into magnetic moments formula. See what they have done in your textbook. Okay, multiply divide by ME. Okay, so here in the upward, in the numerator, you all can substitute it by L and you all will get this formula. Like you all have modified the formula for magnetic moment. Okay, fine. All right. Now, students, this M or EL upon 2ME, this is in scalar form. If I have to write it in vector form, okay. If I have to write it in vector form, I have to consider the direction as well. Okay, in vector form, I have to consider the direction as well. Because see, let us read this part, what is written. This equation shows the orbital magnetic moment is proportional to the angular momentum. Okay, with this formula, M is equal to EL upon 2ME, we can, this E and 2ME part, I'll mark it. Wait. Just a minute, okay? All right. So this part is constant. So we can conclude that the dipole moment is directly proportional to the angular momentum. Okay, it is very obvious. Let's just continue. But as the electron bears negative charge, the vector m, o, r, b and l are in opposite direction. So when this scalar formula, we'll write it in vector form, we have to include the minus charge, because in vector form we have to show the direction as well. Yes or no? And electron is negatively charged, so we'll involve this minus sign as well. You all can see this is the vector sign that is there. Okay, and E and Me, they are constant values, so they won't have any sign on top of them. Okay, that I think so you all know that. All right, fine. So, but as the electron bears negative charge, the vector m, o, r, b and l are in opposite directions, and they are perpendicular to the plane of the orbit. Now let's get back to our diagram over here. Students, we have involved angular momentum, everything. We have modified the formula, we have written it in vector form, and right now we just concluded that m is directly proportional to l. Yes or no? But because we are considering vector quantity, we have to also consider the direction. So they both are in opposite directions. You all can see m is in upward direction and l is in downward direction. They are in opposite directions and they are perpendicular to our loop. Okay, so this m is the dipole moment and this l is the angular momentum. Okay, fine. So let's get back over here. All right. Now, students, here one important thing. You all can mark this point, that the ratio E upon 2me. Okay, this ratio is then, or this part, E upon 2me. Obviously, it is a constant. It is called gyromagnetic ratio. Okay, it has a name. It has a specific name called gyromagnetic ratio. Okay, fine. All right. Now, students, you all remember I discussed that here the angular moment formula has been written using your Bohr's second postulate. So now that will come into picture. You all have to use this other formula that is there, nh upon 2 pi. Okay, you all have to use this formula and you all have to modify the magnetic moment. So now, right now, what is our magnetic moment? E upon 2me into L. Yes or no? Now, instead of this L, what they have done, instead of this L, they have substituted NH upon 2 pi. Okay, see NH and that 2 pi, it will get multiplied and this is how the formula is modified. All right, as simple as that. Now, if we are talking about the first orbit, we all know if we are talking about the first orbit, the quantum number n is going to be 1. So here, instead of n, we'll put 1. Okay, fine. And one more point over here to remember, that you all can mark it down. Very important, this last part that is there. Okay, the quantity EH upon 4 pi ME is called Bohr magneton. Okay, students, Bohr magneton is there. No, Bohr magneton is a unit for your magnetic moment. Like in the last session, I explained the unit was ampere meter square, right? I think so now it is more clear that why it is ampere meter square, because right from the beginning I'm explaining to you all how to determine the magnetic moment. It is current into area. So current's unit ampere and area's unit meter square. So ampere meter square. But Bohr magneton is one more unit for your magnetic moment, your magnetic dipole moment. Okay. Its value is going to be this. Students, you all can see in this formula, okay, this is the formula which I obtained after substituting L as this one. Just a minute. After substituting L as NH upon 2 pi. So I hope you all know H is Planck's constant and all, and N is the quantum number. So if you are discussing about first orbit, then N is going to be 1. Okay. So all these are constant values, and if you all will substitute everything, Me means mass of electron, etc., etc. E is the charge of electron. You all will get this value, 9.274 into 10 raised to minus 27, which you all can remember as it is. Please remember, students, because we have numericals. So you all cannot think that they'll give the values every time. Like in question, the values will be mentioned each and every time. It is not guaranteed. So it is always better if you all remember the directly remember the value. If not, you all can remember this formula. But then it is the same thing. You all will formula anyways. You all will remember, and then you all have to remember each and every value. What is Planck's constant? What is E? What is Me? Substitute and get the answer as 9.274. So instead of that, you all can directly remember the value. Because see, students, Bohr magneton is a unit, but it is as it is written over here. Just a minute. See over here. The value of Bohr magneton is 9.274 into 10 raised to minus 24 ampere per meter square. So this you all have to remember for conversion as well. Okay, fine. Like ampere meter square, it is the, students, it is not per meter square, okay? It is meter square. The per sign is not going to come. So ampere meter square to Bohr magneton conversion, this value will be helpful. Okay, fine. Please let me know if everyone has understood this derivation. In this derivation, what we are doing, we are determining the magnetic moment of an electron. Okay, fine. We started with a little bit comparison with a current carrying circular loop. All right, fine. And then all this derivation. So please let me know if everyone has understood this derivation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
मिस
Students, हाँ,
एक
yes.
बार शॉर्ट में थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन
एक बार शॉर्ट में पूरा ये चाहिए अच्छा ठीक है चलो बता
हाँ.
देती हूँ मैं ओके सो स्टूडेंट्स वी स्टार्टेड with a electron that is revolving around the nucleus. Okay, electron has a charge minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. Okay, fine. Now here what we do is okay, so we have to find the value of the current that is flowing. Students, current is nothing but flow of charges, right? You all know this thing, that flowing of charges will result into current, and electron is a type of a charge. Okay, fine. I know it has a negative charge, but it is a type of a charge which will result into some amount of current in this orbit. So now our task is, like, the beginning of the derivation is finding out what is the value of that current. Okay, fine. So we got this formula E upon T. Okay, actually how we can find current? Current is E into the frequency. All right, fine. Frequency means the number of times the electron revolves in 1 second. Okay, fine. So there was this point which I asked you all to note down, that the charge crossed in 1 second is equal to the current. So E into frequency gives me current, but we all know that frequency is nothing but 1 upon T. So this is the beginning formula that we get. Okay. Now students, over here, there are two things that can be done. First thing is, you all can use this, what is given in your textbook. Okay. Omega is 2 pi F. F is nothing but 1 by T, which means that omega is 2 by T. If I modify this, T will become 2 pi by omega, which is written over here. Okay, so what you can do is, first you can substitute this over here. Okay, fine. And then instead of omega, we all know that formula for omega is V by R. So instead of omega, you all can write V by R. This is one thing that can be done. Another alternative is that the velocity of electron, students, the electron that is revolving, its velocity is nothing but distance upon time. Distance is the circumference, that is 2 pi R, and time is the time period which is required for one revolution. So we know that V is equal to 2 pi by R, 2 pi R by T. Okay, so here if I cross this, I will get T as 2 pi R by V. So what I can do, I can directly substitute this T over here. So this is one more alternative for this particular step. Okay, so that is up to you all, which one you all want to do. So we get I as EV upon 2 pi R. We get this formula. Okay, next, at the beginning of the derivation, we mentioned that the magnetic dipole moment is I into A, current into area. Okay, now we will substitute the formula for current, which we just derived, and area we know it is pi r square y, because it is a circle. Okay, so after cancelling out and everything, we get the dipole moment as EVR by 2. See this part? Okay, we get it as EVR by 2. Now students, we are supposed to bring angular momentum into picture. Okay, we are supposed to bring orbital angular momentum. Students, or as I mentioned, in quantum mechanics, there are two types of momentum: spin angular momentum and orbital angular momentum. Spin momentum is because of the spinning of the electron, the plus half minus half spin, and the orbital angular momentum is nothing but equivalent to your normal angular momentum. Only the thing is, we won't be using the formula I omega. Like for normal angular momentum, the formula is I omega. We won't be using that formula. Instead, we will use this Bohr's equation formula, the Bohr's postulate formula. Okay, that is L is equal to me into VR, where me is the mass of the electron. So what is my orbital angular momentum over here? It is me into VR, me into V into R. Okay, now what I have to do is I have to bring this L, like I have to introduce this L into my original M orbit formula. Okay, so what we can do is we can multiply, we got EV by EVR by 2, right? This is what we derived for your dipole moment. So here what we can do, we can multiply divide by ME, okay, and instead of this ME into VR, we can substitute L over here. This is one thing that can be done. Another thing that can be done, students, see the magnetic dipole formula is EVR by 2. Okay, this is R, all right, please don't get confused. It is EVR by 2. So here we can modify this formula. We can keep VR on one side and we can take ME on the other side. So it will become L upon ME. Yes or no? And here now what we can do, instead of this VR over here, we can substitute L upon ME. We will get the same thing. Okay, fine. All right, fine. Now this is my formula. This is my final formula for magnetic moment. This is in scalar form. If I have to write it in vector form, I have to involve the minus sign of the electron. Okay, fine. In this, one point to remember, this E upon 2ME is there? No, E upon 2ME. It is known as gyromagnetic ratio. So you all have to remember this special name given to that ratio, E upon 2ME. One more thing, what modification we are doing is that in this magnetic dipole formula, students, instead of L, okay, instead of this L, we will substitute the Bohr's postulate formula, that is NH upon 2 pi. Okay, see over here, NH upon 2 pi. So if I substitute this formula, I will get something like this. Magnetic dipole formula is modified. We all know that N stands for what? Quantum number. Okay, so if we are discussing about the first orbit, then value of N is going to be 1. So here I'll put N as 1. I'll be left with this. If you all observe, students, all these things have values. All these things are constants. E is charge, H is Planck's constant, 4 pi has a value, and ME is mass of electron. So if you all will substitute all the values, you all will get something like this. And this particular quantity, it is called Bohr magneton, and Bohr magneton is nothing but a unit for magnetic moment. Just like how you have ampere meter square, Bohr magneton is a unit. And this is the relation between them, that one Bohr magneton is 9.274 into 10 raised to minus 24 ampere meter square. Okay, fine, it is represented as Bm. You all should know this because sometimes in the numericals they'll mention that indicate the Bohr magneton or find the answer in, find the magnetic moment in Bohr magneton, something like that. Okay, fine. So you all understood this derivation? Everyone, please answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Students, you all can see this example 11.2, very simple. Calculate the gyromagnetic ratio of electron. So they have given value for E and ME, but again, as I always suggest, see to it that you all remember the values, you all memorize the values, okay? Fine. So we know that E is 1.6 into, okay, now here don't consider the minus sign, it is only for direction. Here we have to just consider the magnitude. So it is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19, ME is 9.1 into 10 raised to minus 31. What is gyromagnetic ratio? E upon 2ME. You all will solve this, you all will get the answer. Finding the unit is very simple, students. You all know that for E, the unit is coulomb and the mass is in kg. So obviously the unit for gyromagnetic ratio would be C upon kg or C kg inverse. All right, this is one numerical. There's another numerical somewhere over here. Just a minute, okay? Based on this topic only. So I thought I'll explain that. Or is it some other topic? Just a minute, okay, students? Okay, it is on the next topic. It is not on this topic, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, fine. All right. Now, students, I won't be starting the new topic. The new topic is this one, magnetization and magnetic intensity, because it's a very big topic. But here one small part is written, so that I'll explain just quickly what is written over here. All right, fine. Look at this example. Okay, it is about what type of materials will possess magnetic property, or what type of materials will have magnetic dipole moment. Students, when can you all say that any element or any object has magnetic properties in it? this statement is only valid if the object or the element shows magnetic dipole moment. Magnetic dipole moment is everything. Anything that can show magnetic dipole moment is considered to be a magnet or is considered to have magnetic properties. Please remember this always. If it has magnetic dipole moment, it means that it has magnetic properties. Now, if I give you elements and I'll tell you all that find out if this compound has magnetic dipole moment or something like that, how that can be done by using electronic configuration, the electronic configuration that we write in chemistry. Okay. See this pink box. Let us see whether the given atom has paired electron or unpaired electron in the outermost orbit. Okay, so for that what we'll do, we'll write the config. Here see they have taken example for chlorine. They have written the configuration and obviously they have drawn the diagram. This electron filling this thing, orbitals they have shown for the last orbit, which in this case is 3. So I'll have 3s2 and 3p5. Students, you all can see we have unpaired electron in the valence orbit. Yes or no? There is one unpaired electron. See, they have written over here. Okay, fine. In similar manner, study for these elements. So, if you all know the atomic number for these elements, you all can easily write down the configuration. Now, I discussed the example first. Okay, see students. As stated earlier, apart from the this part, okay, this paragraph. As stated, alright, as stated earlier, apart from the orbital motion, electron spin also contributes to the resultant magnetic moment of an atom. Okay, students, there is always something known as net magnetic moment or total magnetic moment of any atom. Okay, fine. So in that total magnetic moment, the electron, the spin, the plus half spin that happens, okay, that is also responsible. It also contributes to the total magnetic moment. Okay, that is what is written. Vector sum of two of these moments is the total magnetic moment. So the orbital MORB is the orbit magnetic moment. Yes or no? So in that orbit magnetic moment along with the electron magnetic moment, the magnetic moment of the orbit and the magnetic moment of the electron, because of the spin, both of them combine to give me total magnetic moment. Okay, fine. That is very obvious. All right, let's move ahead. Okay, now look at this paragraph below this blue box. You have studied Pauli's exclusion principle. According to it, no two electrons can have the same set of quantum numbers. Okay, fine. Therefore, the resultant magnetic dipole moment for these atoms with a pair of electrons in the same state defined by NLM will be 0 as discussed in the box below. So, if there are two electrons which will have the same state, okay, if we are talking about two electrons which will have the same numbers according to Pauli's exclusion, then their net magnetic moment is going to be 0. Okay, see students, I know they have explained it in a little complex manner. I don't know why. One simple thing to remember is that why I explained this example before is that if unpaired electrons are present, okay, if unpaired electrons are present, then magnetic moment is also present. Okay, fine. Wait, it is written over here somewhere. Look at this part. This part is important. The atoms with odd number of electrons. Okay. Odd number means unpairing will be present, right? Because if it is even number, then the pairing is perfect. We want at least one unpaired electron, one or more than that unpaired electrons to be present. So only if odd number of electrons are there, they will be unpaired. Because if even numbers are there, then they will be paired up, right? Yes or no? So atoms with odd number of electrons in the outermost orbit will possess non-zero resultant magnetic moment. So what they are trying to say, if there are no unpaired electrons, okay, everything is paired up, or if everything is empty, बिल्कुल भी unpaired electron नहीं है, मतलब जो net magnetic moment है, the resultant magnetic dipole moment is 0. And right now, few minutes ago, what I discussed, any material is said to have magnetic properties only if it can exhibit magnetic dipole moment. So if the magnetic dipole moment is 0, it means that we cannot call that material to be a magnetic material. As simple as that. So what is the conclusion of everything? The conclusion is that there should be unpaired valence electrons. If there are unpaired valence electrons, then the total magnetic moment will have some value. If there is no unpairing, then the total magnetic moment will be 0. Okay, fine. So that is this point. So students, this next topic I'm not starting now. We'll start it in the next session only. But before that, please let me know if any doubt anyone has.